the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And if peace officers, existing peace officers and policy enforcement officers seek to enforce their policies in a manner that does not preserve and maintain the public peace, it is our officers who will be arresting them. Now here, a lot of people in the government and the police are going to think that what I am talking about is one group of peace officers versus another group of peace officers. That's not going to be the case. The organization that I'm going to create is going to be called the Canadian Common Corps of Peace Officers, and it's going to be very inclusive. Members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are going to be welcome to join. If they join, people who are members of C3PO, they will be first and foremost peace officers. Now there will be some members of C3PO who are only peace officers and who are not bound and who have no obligation to enforce statutes. And they will be empowered to arrest other cops who attempt to enforce those statutes on a free man on the land. Now this is where it gets very cunning. I'm not excluding these people. I'm not bringing war against them. I'm not bringing an army to bear against them at all. I'm pointing out that they belong to us. They serve peace first, policy second. As long as they do that, everything's fine. So what they would end up doing, what I see coming together, ideally, we don't have to hire any more cops at all. Just bring these existing ones up to a proper standard. A proper standard where peace is first, and enforcing de facto court orders or statutes against a free man or being grossly negligent and committing what is essentially fraud aren't allowed. They would get a little pin, just a little pin, says Canadian Common Corps Peace Officers. They would have to educate themselves a little bit and pass a test, and then we would pay them 1 ounce of gold per year just to preserve and maintain the public peace and to be a member of our peace officer force. If you want to be a peace officer, you want to be able to hold these people accountable to the law, because some of them clearly think they're above it, you can still become a peace officer. All of you having to educate yourself a little bit, but the Freeman Society of Canada will help you with that. You would have to make an oath to preserve and maintain the public peace, and you would have to post a liability bond, just like every other cop out there. You would, in fact, be a police. You'll be a peace officer for the people of Canada. You will be employed directly by the people of Canada instead of by their representatives. And what we can do by our representatives, we can do directly. That's step 2 of my very cunning plan. We're going to have a new peace officer force in town, new sheriff in town. And these peace officers will be holding these guys accountable to the law. And if these guys don't want to do it, people like myself and Doug and Luc Denis and tens of thousands of other people across Canada will step up and we will do it. This is our country, and these people exist at our pleasure. We do not exist at theirs. Get ready for a new sheriff in town.
I have a very, very, very cunning plan.
Now, as part of my very cunning plan, I wanted to make a movie of my very cunning plan, and I wanted to make a great movie of my very cunning plan. And I realized that all great movies have certain attributes. Car chases, gunfire, explosions, Steve McQueen, and nice titties. I want you to imagine a gigolo, an ugly, greasy, dirty gigolo. Oh, and believe it or not, some people do pay him for his services, but he also has a habit of imposing his services on the unwilling. Oh, and if the cops come and they try to claim, hey, gigolo, hey man, you raped that woman, he will say, no, that's not possible. I'm not liable because I am a gigolo, and she owes me money. This is what the courts are doing. If you research Dun & Bradstreet, you will see that these courts are in fact listed as corporations. And if you look right on their door, you will see a sign, at least in Vancouver. It says business hours. These are corporations out to make money, and they want you to think that you have no choice but to accept their services, for they are the gigolo. And there is, of course, a problem with that. And I'll tell you what it is.
This is my country.
This is my country.
This is the overhead view of the courts in British Columbia and Vancouver. Bottom lower left-hand corner, you have the Supreme Court with the glass roof. And in the upper right-hand corner, you have the Provincial Court of British Columbia. Zooming in on the Provincial Court, this is the roof of it. And you can walk on it, above it all. At the top of your screen there's some bushes. It's under there that you go to get your license. About 20 feet away is a sculpture. You can see it surrounded by that green hedge. Opposite that sculpture is where you go to pay your tickets. Let's zoom in and see what that sculpture looks like. The sculpture is this giant spring with 6 coils. And that part in the center, it's about 6 feet high. Zoom in further and you'll see something funny. It looks just like a giant mousetrap spring. Honestly, that's what it looks like. It's a giant mousetrap spring. Where you get your license, that's the cheese. The court, that's the trap.
I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
For official purposes, everyone has a number. Yours is number 6.
I am not a number. I am a person.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
There's very little difference between being a person and being a number. It's a good thing I have a
Very, very, very cunning plan.
Hello! I may as well just get it right out of the way. I like wood. I don't know if you were listening and thinking, hey, he's Canadian. I wonder if he likes wood. You may or may not be surprised to hear that, in fact, I do. If it's fresh cut and I can smell it, all the better. Like a bit of wood. But I'm not a foreign person who lives in this country and complains about it. I am thankful. I had my appendix taken out in an emergency surgery under the NHS, and up to that point I had heard nothing but complaints about the NHS. Everybody's telling me horror stories. But I've experienced NHSs in other parts of the world. I've been to the hospital in New Zealand, been to the hospital in Canada. Both times I received painkillers, but never before, except at North Middlesex Hospital in this city, was I left in charge of my own morphine. Thank you. Oh, yeah! Yes, indeed! And I don't know what part of the NHS is broke, but that part ain't! There's no other part of the world that leaves the patient in charge of the drugs. There you are, fella. Good luck to you. You seem like a nice guy. I really hope you live. Take care of yourself. When you feel better, sneak out. We need the bed. Okay?